So with looking at this kind of an anchor pulling out of the ground at 30 miles an hour, we asked the Mexicans, oh my goodness, what do we do to keep this thing on the ground? And he said, you go down, first you can pay us $400 to drive 4 anchors in the ground, cash today. And this is on top of the $300 cash they tried to get us for leveling that same day. And I said, there must be another way. And they said, yeah, run down to Lowe's and grab mobile home anchors. So we went down and bought 6. They're 3 foot long with that auger on the bottom. We dug down 3 foot, put a foot of concrete in the bottom to keep them from ever pulling out, and drilled the holes in the frame all the way through. You can see the bolt there, and put 6 of these anchors down, all with grade 5 machine bolts, which would be almost impossible to break, and then bolted them to each leg on the corners and in the center, and that would keep this thing on the ground for your 130 mile an hour wind. Now the 130 mile an hour guarantee is only for the building, and is only good if you level it properly and if it's anchored properly. And they don't tell you this when you're buying the building. They just tell you the building is guaranteed to 130 mile an hour winds. That's if you can keep the guarantee, and the company will send you a little letter that says your building does not qualify for the guarantee after they found any discrepancies. Now, you remember I told you about the rounded corners? This is one of the reasons that this company was $400 to $600 cheaper all the way across the board than anybody else for the size of building. You see, we needed a building that was at least 46 inches long, 46 feet long, and 24 foot or better wide. They told us that these rounded corners with the extra supports were what we needed, and they're cheaper than the roof that's flat on the top. You see how these panels all run lengthwise? If those are flat out, the lines run this way, and you can go any length you want. The reason being is that seam in the center. Now, they didn't tell us that the seam in the center, we said we wanted a building that would keep it dry. Well, the first time it rained inside on that seam as much as it was outside. So we called a nice lady called Sam at Melifont Steel Buildings, and she said, oh, you've got a building with 2 long panels. And those buildings, because they're 2 long panels with a seam in the center, they're always going to leak. And I said, why didn't they tell me that at first? And she said, because the price is greater with a different style roof. And I said, well, wait a minute, then your building, why would I order a building if it's going to rain indoors as much as outdoors? She said, no problem. Just get a 14-foot ladder, climb up there, and from Lowe's get some silicone sealer and squirt it on that seam up there. And I said, wait a minute, Sam, I'm 65 years old, disabled, and I was quoted a price on a building that was watertight. You're telling me this will never seal. And she said, it won't because of that seam in the center. You should have ordered the other building that was more expensive. So I said, well, then we need to talk to my lawyer. And at that point, she turned me over to a place that actually builds the carport. And I find out then that Melifont Steel Buildings and pretty much nobody else manufactures these buildings. There is only one company that actually still manufactures, and I can't mention the name of the company, but it starts with an E and it rhymes with beagle, and it also sounds like a big bird. So Beagle Steel Buildings, I get a hold of them and say, wait a minute, this thing leaks like a sieve, and that back panel is open. The back gable, this is a gable here, it's open, it's supposed to be closed. And they said, well, you send us the check and we will get right on repairing that. And I said, not a chance. You get no money until it's what we agreed upon. So he said, okay, no problem. We will schedule this within a week and a half of being finished. Well, that's what I heard, but that's not what he said. Because in a week and a half, we called him and he said, yeah, your building is about to be scheduled to be repaired. And I said, no, you said it would be scheduled to be repaired. And he said, you're right. I'm going to put it on the schedule in a week and a half. So it's going to be another 2.5 weeks before somebody gets out there. So it was about 6 weeks before a separate pair of Mexican crew came out and put these steel members here and a bottom frame. I'll try to show you that. A bottom member that goes across the bottom right there to support that metal that's in here. And granted, it did come out to be a beautiful structure, but only after I added the cross bracing to keep it from wagging in the wind. And they went up pretty much for free. We bought the silicone and they put the silicone, another layer of silicone in the ceiling. Now, it's rained since then, good and healthy, and it still leaks, but not in 7 places. It's only in about 2 little places now. It's something I guess we're going to have to live with because we're too stupid to actually hear what they're saying when we think we know what they're saying is not what they said. I'm just saying, be careful when you quote these buildings. So, do not let me discourage you from ordering a carport for your boat or bus or whatever you want to do. They are a beautiful thing once they're all done, but you have to be careful that you hear what they're saying, not what you hope they're saying. And the things to be careful are, when are they going to come exactly and put it up? And exactly who is going to level this? And how much extra are you going to have to pay to finish this thing? Who's going to anchor the thing down? How much is that building going to sway after you've got it up? Even if they have the extra support in it, are they going to guarantee that? And are they going to guarantee that it does not leak? So what I'm trying to explain is, you don't have to be discouraged in ordering a building. Just be wary that each step has its own little place designed to con you out of more cash at the last minute. So this building cost us $5,185, and when we got all done with permits and extra bracing and the anchors and the side bracing and the caulking, we're talking another probably $1,200 to $1,500, and you can spend, I guess, up to another total of $2,000 extra in cash if you're not careful to ask the right questions. But like I said, 'tis a beautiful structure when it's done.